disturbing figures about illiteracy. Now, according to the AIG, the Australian Industry Group, 40%, 2 out of 5 employees sit below the minimum standards for reading and writing, and apparently this affects 93% of businesses in a bad way. In similar fashion, some apprenticeship programs have found that over 50% of their annual intake also lacks basic literacy and numeracy skills, which then have to be retaught outside school. Now, a few weeks ago on this show, I had a vigorous debate with Meredith Peace of the Australian Education Union about performance pay for teachers. According to her, all teachers do such a great job that it's insulting to suggest that some could be paid more than others based on their pupils' results. Well, if these figures about employee and apprenticeship illiteracy are to be believed, there's a hell of a lot of kids out there leaving school with very little to show for the 10 to 12 years they've spent in the system. Anybody who can't read, write and do basic mental arithmetic will struggle to get ahead in today's society. That is absolutely obvious. And while I know some kids are tough to teach, quite frankly, no one should ever be allowed to leave high school until they've achieved the minimum standards that we all require in both literacy and numeracy. All right, 9600 693 13 13 32. Joining me on the line now is spokesperson for EOS Energy Skills Australia, Juan Maddock. Mr. Maddock, good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Tom. Good afternoon.
Now, look, I know you didn't do this survey from the Australian Industry Group, but they say 40% of employees are essentially illiterate. Is that true?
I suppose we don't like to bandy about titles such as literate or illiterate, but what we find is that there are an awful lot of the people who are applying for apprenticeships who don't have the basic literacy and numeracy skills to get them through that training program. So we're not trying to make an across-the-board statement, but we think that rather than being open entry, apprentices should have to demonstrate they have the skills to undertake a program before they begin. Otherwise, you're just setting them up to waste their time.
Well, how do they get to graduate from high school in the first place? I mean, that's what I don't understand. I thought that you had to meet certain minimum standards, be it NAPLAN, be it whatever, before you could leave school. Are the difficult kids just told, get out of here?
Yeah, look, I think that's certainly part of the problem. It's just about, I suppose, teachers are really pushing a tertiary education agenda. If the students aren't interested in going on to tertiary education, the image that's being sent is you can fail everything and always fall into an apprenticeship. And this is just the wrong message that we're sending. The electrical trades, which we're involved in particularly, have really quite high numeracy requirements. And about half the students who are dropping out are reporting that they're doing it exactly just because of those numeracy difficulties. They weren't prepared by the high school system.
Okay, but again, I could see why if someone gets to an apprenticeship or dare I say, at university and can't read or write, it's a real problem. But I mean, don't the schools have a duty to say, look, this kid isn't ready to leave. He or she simply has to stay here until we can teach them the basics?
I think it's very important they learn those basics somewhere. The obvious place would be in secondary school, and the vet sector is having to spend a lot of time helping students get up to speed to maximise their chances of success.
Okay, so what do we do? I mean, do things have to be fixed at school, at university, at apprenticeship programs? Where does the solution lie?
I suppose the solution really lies in everyone working together. One of the things we're really trying to communicate to secondary schools, to parents as well as students interested in the career in the electrical field, is that they need to be aware that there are very strong literacy and numeracy requirements. We're running free tests which let students get an idea of where they're up to, and we're really suggesting they take that at the start of year 10 or at the start of year 12, so they have a goal of where they want to be by the end of the year before they're even thinking about starting their apprenticeship.
Okay, so they've got to essentially meet the minimum requirements for education before they say, righto, I'll become an electrician or anything else.
That's right. And if we identify that they have a problem in literacy or numeracy, government should be doing the work to get them up to speed rather than letting them start an apprenticeship which they're most likely to fail. They're not really being given a chance to complete.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, even though teachers say performance pay is a nonsense because all teachers do an equally good job. We'll leave it there. Juan Maddock, spokesman for EOS Energy Skills Australia. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Tom.
9600 693 or 13 13 32. I just find this bizarre that you are